So, the UF files have finally been released by the government, and it turns out, it really sucks. And just like me, everyone is really disappointed. This is basically Epstein and Kennedy Files 2.0, yo. A whole lot of nothing. Whack. And when I looked at first, I was pissed just like you guys. I immediately thought these fools are just lying to us again. But after I looked a little bit closer, I realized I was totally wrong. Now, I am the last person to believe any of this shit. I'm not even the slightest bit religious, and up until about 3 years ago, I didn't believe any of this alien business. I completely dismissed it. But after digging through all the files and then some, I really think our whole world is about to be turned upside down. So, to bet about me, and while you're at it, your Bible, your Quran, your Torah, and any religious book you can get your hands on. Because for the human race, 真的是代志大条. So, I went through all 161.5 UAP files that were released by the government last weekend. And real talk, it's basically stuff we've all seen before. But there was one or maybe two things that I saw that left me completely shocked.
Pentagon UFO files show a star-shaped object moving in sharp... I mean, this is... What is this, like a Naru? There's no way. This is from the It has a smoke What the fuck?
Now, the shape that you saw in that picture and video, check this. Religious folks are completely losing their shit as it resembles a very iconic piece of religious folklore. The Star of Bethlehem. This star has a long history, yo, and the origins of the Star of Bethlehem takes root in one of the oldest books in the world, the Bible. So what exactly does this star do? Well, according to the Bible, it appeared in the sky and led the wise men to where baby Jesus was located, like some straight up holy GPS. But in some other ancient books, the Star of Bethlehem is translated as an observer or a watcher.
Primeiro que são povos meio que desconhecidos, né? É difícil convencer até o próprio Estado, né, que eles existem.
For the first time, he's allowed a BBC film crew to travel with him. Powerful zoom lenses will allow them to film from a kilometer away and minimize disturbance.
So, everyone pretty much knows the deal. When modern scientists stumble upon uncontacted tribes, or even recently undiscovered species, the number one rule in SOP is do not make contact. Do not affect them. Do nothing except observe, because anything else might completely jeopardize their way of life. Or even worse, we might carry some virus that could completely wipe them out. And I think by this point in time, we all know and agree that aliens have been among us for some long period of time, and they possess advanced technology well beyond what we're capable of. So I think it's safe to assume that they are doing and have done the exact same thing. To watch and observe, but do not touch.
That I have a very good friend of mine who's PhD level, kind of higher up in the Mormon church. And basically the Mormon theology is kind of like that. The Mormons say you were once with God or like God, but then you were sent down to like a lower plane of existence. And that's literally what I'm talking about right now, but just in a secular sense. So maybe... we're all created beings from, and this doesn't like hurt Christian theology, whatever. It's actually kind of enforcing the fact there's a creator and we're literally created in the image of a creator, literally. And that's kind of what life really is. It's like, think about it's like a weird 3D plus time temporal sensory experience for a higher dimensional sentience. You're here to experience time in this weird linear fashion and to experience yourself divorced from yourself to gain knowledge and to report back is maybe what life is. And that's just kind of my own personal theology.
This is David Grush, and he is not some random conspiracy YouTuber, yo. He's a former member of the United States military and an intelligence officer who worked in the secret UAP program. He even swore to this shit in front of Congress. His explanation of God and UAPs sounds just like a bunch of scientists observing us. Only these scientists are from a completely different dimension. And then, soon after those files were released, a very well-respected religious researcher came forward and explained it even clearer.
I mean, the biblical narrative unapologetically introduces us to non-human extraterrestrial beings. And these beings are called angels or the hosts of heaven. You know, there's various designations. None of these, by the way, are names that give us, our designations that give us any insight into their ontology. An angel is just a occupational descriptor. It's what the being happens to be doing. It just means a messenger, an envoy, one who is sent. But for all intents and purposes, these are extraterrestrial intelligent beings right there in the Bible.
Now, this guy is also not some random YouTuber. He is a respected religious researcher. That means this guy is way more smarter than me. And the way I see it, what he says makes a lot of sense. So right now, we have a former government and intelligence officer and a current researcher. But let's hear from someone who is currently sitting in US Congress with top security clearance and see what she has to say.
I think that part of the fear is that you have advisors that think that, the American people or humanity might not be able to handle it. Right? There's this protective complex, but then also too, I think when you are talking about these things, for a lot of people, I think that it kind of can rock your world a little bit in regards to where you stand in a faith perspective, and then also too, an aspect of, well, how do you even begin to explain it? But I read through the Book of Enoch multiple times, and I've had a mass array of people that have come in, right? We have people that come in that claim that you can use this ability to basically dog whistle these things in from a psychic ability. And I think that there's something there. Otherwise, they wouldn't necessarily be able to provide some of the video evidence that they have. And then, you can look into our own government's declassified documents that the CIA had on different experiments. But based on the evidence that we've seen, I don't have any reason to believe that these people are lying. Based on the evidence that I've seen from our own government, I think that there's something there that the American people deserve to have access to. Why is it that you also have this aspect of, a certain religion that has been very controlled? And I think, when you have certain books that are removed because they don't think that people should have access to this information or know it, why remove a book from a Bible? The story goes that Revelations actually had replaced Enoch. And so it's interesting because when you're looking kind of full circle on, you hear the stuff that some of these people are talking about, and then you see and you read the Book of Enoch, which is a wild read, okay? And then you look at kind of what our modern day description is of what angels and entities are versus what Enoch was seeing and reporting in his language and ability at that time. I think that there's a lot that brings you to then ask the question, well, why would they remove this information? If it's truly, written in part of the oldest Bible in the world, why would they then take it out?
This is U.S. Congressman Anna Paulina LUNA, who sat in a skiff right across from David Grush and also read all of the UAP files and talked to all of the whistleblowers in this program. And she just told us to read an ancient book from over 2,000 years ago called the Book of Enoch. Fun fact, this book was actually supposed to be included in the Bible, and it was actually written by ancient scholars. But at some point, they took that shit out because they thought it was too wild. And now, most of the modern world religions don't even recognize it. And I actually read it.
In those days, when the sons of men multiplied, beautiful and comely daughters were born unto them, the angels, the sons of heaven, saw them and desired them. And they said to one another,
Come, let us choose wives from among the daughters of men, and beget children with them.
Then Semjaza, who was their leader, said to them,
I fear that you will not agree to do this deed, and I alone shall bear the blame for a great sin.
But they all answered him,
Let us swear an oath and bind ourselves by a solemn curse, that we shall not turn back until we have accomplished this thing and brought it to pass.
Then they all swore together and bound themselves by a curse. There were in total 200, and they descended in the days of Jared upon the summit of Mount Hermon. They called it Hermon, because upon it they swore and bound themselves by a curse. And all of them took wives unto themselves, each choosing one, and they began to approach them and defile themselves with them, and they became pregnant.
Now, I know quite a few are probably thinking,
他们只是要来乱搞而已啊，他们是要轮流打炮而已啊，因为他们很 horny 啊，他们很骚啊。
But here's the thing you need to remember. This book is over 2,000 years old, yo. And technically, Enoch and anyone else mentioned in this book didn't write anything. They said some shit, and then someone wrote that down. In an ancient language, no less. And besides, you mean to tell me that if you're horny and basically have superpowers, that you're only gonna settle for just one woman?
Think, Mark, think!
So, it's possible that maybe Yokoda they misinterpreted some parts. And maybe the way they explain lust has absolutely nothing to do with pleasure and more to do with biological drive. And possibly the limit to them finding only one woman was so that they could have a control subject. Because there's 200 of them, and that's one for each. That actually kinda makes sense. And the biological experiment they're trying to conduct is an alien-human DNA hybrid. All because they were just a little bit too curious. Or maybe they were on some invincible shit. They're just trying to survive and keep their species going.
We will live among you. Your people will never know we are here, but they will save us nonetheless as we use them to birth our salvation.
And check this. 3 weeks before the UFO files were released, Congresswoman LUNA posted this picture on X that happens to be of an over 500-year-old painting known as the Madonna with Saint Giovannino, aka the Madonna of UFO. And this painting is really important because it depicts the angels announcing to the world that Jesus, their savior, is born. And here's where this painting gets even more interesting. Right side shows something that looks exactly like a classic Feipan UFO. One that really caught my interest were the 3 small ones on the left side of the painting. You see here? They look like tiny little jellyfish. Turns out something like this was actually released in the UAP files. So let's compare, shall we? Well, I don't know about you, but these two look exactly the same.
Nigga, I don't really know, like.
So it seems that when Jesus was born, the UFOs were on site and around him, almost like they were protecting him or watching him. Back in 1989, before Congresswoman LUNA and David Grush and even that scholar were around, someone was already saying this shit.
You saw some other reports that you... Yeah, religious documents. Pretty hard to swallow. It's very hard to swallow. Saying, basically, that supposedly Jesus and two other beings were genetically engineered. They were implanted in people on Earth in biblical times, and their births were closely monitored. In the Bible, they said that the star had followed Mary wherever she went, and that all UFO sightings always start out as people, well, gee, that looks like a bright star. And well, in fact, they said in the Bible, the brightest star in the sky followed her where she went. Yeah, how can you just swallow that whole? Well, how can you swallow any of that stuff? Well, it's easy to swallow things you can put your hands on and touch and then work with it. It's no problem. But when you get into a lot of spiritual stuff and religion, and you were brought here, and we were made by progressive corrections and evolution and that sort of thing, and where it shoots down a lot of the established religions, Catholicism, and everything. Said, essentially it's a tough thing to accept, and why, without hardcore proof, why even bring it up? I guess the question more should deal with that you actually read a report that said this stuff. Well, yeah, the only hardcore thing is that there is an extremely classified document dealing with religion, and it's about that thing, period. But why would there be any classified material dealing with religion?
This is Bob Lazar, the first whistleblower who claimed to work as an engineer for the US government in a secret program where his job was to reverse engineer UAP aircraft. And he actually read what is known as the government Bible and revealed a very interesting version of religion itself. Most importantly, that the Star of Bethlehem, which is in the UFO files, is there to observe their control subjects, the Virgin Mary and her son Jesus, making Jesus an alien-human hybrid test baby. Now, I know right now quite a few of our Chidu viewers are probably a little bit busufu. But man, even Bob himself said that when he read those files, he had a hard time believing it. But hold on to your butts, because when he reveals what else he saw in them files, it will make you completely freak out and throw your phone.
I want to go back to the religion thing. I want you to say it. Oh, come on, that's so weird. That's a lot. I'm not asking you to say what you believe to be a fact. I'm asking you to say what you read in a report that that is distributed at what may be the most top secret facility in the world. All right, I'll say it. It's so far out. All right, your objection has been noted. Okay. What does it say? That we're containers. That's how supposedly the aliens look at us. That we are nothing but containers. Containers of? Containers. Maybe containers of souls. You can come up with whatever theory you want, but we're containers, and that's how we're mentioned in the documents. That religion was specifically created, so we have some rules and regulations for the sole purpose of not damaging the containers. The souls. Meaning, well, the souls or the bodies, whatever. That's meaning like we're containers for souls that they're going to use at some other point. Right.
Humans are a container. That sounds like something a scientist would say. Now, Bob speculates that it might be souls, but I think it's something different. I think it might be actually referring to a woman's womb. And the religion part sounds like some basic SOP out of an experiment lab work guidebook. Keep your container clean, no cross-contamination, and keep the subject vibrant and healthy. And one other thing the 3 major world religions have in common is that they have a serious double standard when it comes to moral rules for sexual behavior. The punishment for women is way more severe. Because if you are the ABC, that's a alien baby container, then you must be held to a higher standard. Because they cannot risk you ruining their science experiment.
You better be careful.
So, plainly speaking, Earth is an alien laboratory. The only question I got out of this is, where is the alien observation deck? Turns out the answer is really quite clear, because they seem to always be observing us from the same surface perspective.
In the 1960s, Ken Johnston was a NASA test pilot, but later as director of the Data and Photo Control Department at the Johnson Space Flight Center. He says on one of the moon missions, the astronauts came back with intriguing photographs.
I was in kind of shock. And some of the craters would actually show domes and actual bases.
Ken says when he asked his boss about the photos, he was told to stop asking.
And we argued a little bit. He finally said, I don't care what you do, just get rid of those pictures that were taken.
Their technology is said to be integral in the structures that we're familiar with today, like the pyramids. So the question becomes, did this ancient race lay footing, if you will, on the moon?
So imagine this. You are the alien observer or researcher, and the very subject that you've been observing shows up on your doorstep, making noise and leaving their shit all over your front lawn. What would you do?
This is after we had witnessed the upper stage rocket next to us make an evasive maneuver to miss the moon. Later missions had crashed into the moon so that we could determine the seismic effect of crashing.
So you saw a light.
So we saw a light, and we thought, wonder what that is. You know, there are a lot of lights out there when you're not looking in the direction of the sun. There are a lot of stars, and they're all fixed relative to each other. Now, one of them starts moving, or it's moving, and we know that that's another object. It's not a star. Now, we know that if we were to say, Houston, we got a light out the window. It's going along with us, heading for the moon. A lot of these guys are going to go ape, you know, and it's really going to endanger the mission and occupy a lot of our time trying to explain what's going on.
I saw this illumination that was moving with respect to the stars. We were smart enough to not say, Houston, there's a light out there that's following us. So technically, it becomes an unidentified flying object.
While Neil and Buzz were on the lunar surface, Neil switched to the medical channel and spoke directly with the chief medical officer, saying, they're here, they're parked on the side of the crater, they're watching us.
我要跟你讲一下哈，我这个德州人，如果有人突然出现在我 backyard 那边，一直在跑来跑去，哔哔哔哔什么的 ，you know what I would do? I'll have my guns in both hands, me mugging him really bad, sending him one very clear message.
Do not fuck with us.
So maybe this explains why humans didn't go back to the moon for over 50 years. Maybe we can conclude that the government Bible and the 2,000-year-old Book of Enoch both say the exact same thing, that humans are just test subjects in containers, and the test subjects showing up on the moon pissed them off, so they kicked us out. Not to mention that they have a history of kidnapping humans and military missions, and most importantly, writing graffiti on our crops. 哇，这些外星人好像很 gay 呢. That sounds like a straight-up intergalactic mafia, yo.
I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons anyway. I think that celestial beings who fly around, who do weird things to people, I think that the desire to describe everything celestial, everything is otherworldly, to describe it as aliens. I mean, every great world religion, including Christianity, the one that I believe in, has understood that there are weird things out there, and there are things that are very difficult to explain. And I naturally go, when I hear about sort of extra natural phenomenon, that's where I go to, is the Christian understanding that, you know, there's a lot of good out there, but there's also some evil out there. And I think that one of the devil's great tricks is to convince people he never existed.
So even the vice president, the #2 most powerful man in the world, has seen all of the files, even the ones we haven't seen yet. And he believes these aliens are demons. So it seems to me like the real question is not whether they're aliens or not, but how in the world are we going to deal with our new roommates?
Roommates agree that Friday night shall be reserved for watching Joss Whedon's brilliant new series, Firefly.